Hello! In this video, we will apply game theory to business firms. Suppose we take the example of Airbus and Boeing in the commercial aircraft manufacturing industry. For simplicity, let's assume that there are only two firms in this industry, a duopoly in this case. Suppose the payoff matrix for the game between Boeing and Airbus is a 2x2 matrix. Suppose that at the end of each year, Boeing and Airbus must decide the price of their aeroplanes for the coming year. Each firm needs to decide whether to raise the price of its aeroplanes or to maintain the same lower price. So these are the two strategies each firm can choose from. Suppose these numbers are the payoffs. How should we read this matrix? There is a standard method for reading a payoff matrix, and it's done this way. You can see that in each quadrant, there are two numbers separated by a comma. The numbers on the left-hand side of the comma, in other words, the numbers before the comma, belong to player 1, which is Boeing. So those are Boeings, 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 right? The numbers on the right-hand side of the comma, or the numbers after the comma in each quadrant, belong to player 2, which is Airbus. So Airbuses, Airbuses, this is Airbuses, this is also Airbuses. So let's start analyzing this game. We usually start the analysis from the point of view of player 1, which in this case is Boeing. If Airbus raises its price, you can see that the figures faced by Boeing, okay, I've circled for you here. Which strategy should Boeing choose? The answer actually depends on what those numbers actually represent. Are the numbers representing a cost, or are they a benefit to the firms? If these numbers are costs or losses, then the lower the number, the better. If these numbers represent benefits like sales revenue or profits, then the higher the number, the better. That's why you should take care to find out what the numbers in the payoff matrix represents first. So in this game between Boeing and Airbus, suppose I tell you that these numbers represent annual profits in millions of dollars. Well, in this case, if Airbus raises its price, Boeing will be better off maintaining its price. This way, Boeing's price will be relatively lower than Airbus's, and so Boeing should be able to steal some customers away from Airbus and make a higher profit of $200 million. So if Boeing also raised its price together with Airbus, then the profits would only be $100 million. What should Boeing do if Airbus maintains its price? These are the expected profits for Boeing. If Boeing raised its price, but Airbus did not, Boeing would lose its customers to Airbus, and so it will make an economic loss of $200 million. Ooh. Obviously, if Airbus maintains its price, Boeing should also maintain its price. So does Boeing have a dominant strategy? In this game, yes. Boeing has a dominant strategy, which is to maintain its price. What about Airbus's point of view? From Airbus's perspective, if Boeing raises its price, Airbus should also maintain its price. If Boeing maintains its price, then Airbus's profits are like this. Airbus should maintain its price because raising price would incur a $200 million loss for Airbus, right? Yeah. So does Airbus have a dominant strategy? Yes. Airbus has a dominant strategy, which is to maintain its price. So in this game, both Boeing and Airbus have the same dominant strategy, which is to maintain its price for the coming year. Is there a Nash equilibrium? Yes, of course there is. Both Boeing and Airbus will choose to maintain their prices. There is a dominant strategy equilibrium. Each firm will earn $30 million in annual profits. So is this game a prisoner's dilemma? What do you think? The answer is yes. Because each firm can have higher profits of $100 million a year if they both raise their prices simultaneously. But this will not provide an equilibrium because each firm cannot trust the other firm to raise its price as promised. So each firm has an incentive to maintain its price if it thinks that the other firm will cheat. So, why do firms sometimes cooperate? In reality, we find that this has happened. So why is that? Well, the reason is because while cooperation is difficult to maintain, it is not impossible. Cooperation is easier to enforce if the game is repeated. Firms that care about their future profits will cooperate in repeated games rather than cheat in a single game to achieve a one-time gain. Okay, let's see how a repeated game makes it easier to maintain cooperation between the rival firms. Well, listen carefully. In a one-off game, like we discussed earlier, the Nash equilibrium is where both firms maintain their prices and make $30 million in annual profits. We can see that the optimal outcome is where both firms agree to raise their prices next year simultaneously and make $100 million in annual profits each. Now suppose that Boeing and Airbus expect to repeat this price-setting game year after year, say for the next 30 years. Would a repeated game provide the firms an incentive to cooperate and not cheat on their agreement? How should we analyze this case? Well, I hope you have learned to think like an economist. We should do a cost-benefit analysis and think at the margin, right? Suppose that Boeing follows this agreement and advertises its price increase for the next year. Suppose that Airbus reneged on the agreement, the cheat. In this case, Airbus will get a very high profit of $200 million in that year, whilst Boeing will make a huge loss of $200 million. Or in this case, it is quite likely that Boeing would know that its loss is caused by the cheating Airbus. So, what do you think will happen the following year after this? What strategies will each firm play? Well, yes, as highlighted here, each firm will play their strategy to maintain price and make only $30 million per year for the next 29 years because Boeing will probably not trust Airbus again. What is the cost-benefit analysis to Airbus for deciding to cheat on the agreement? Well, the marginal benefit of cheating is an additional $170 million above the Nash equilibrium outcome of $30 million. Right? So they make that extra $170 million by cheating. What about the marginal cost of cheating? The marginal cost of cheating is the loss of the additional $70 million a year above the Nash equilibrium outcome of $30 million for the next 29 years. You see that? You gain $170 million one time, but then you lose 70 million every year for the next 29 years. So even with values that are discounted in the future, let's say we use reasonable discount rates, and the marginal cost of cheating would then tend to be greater than the marginal benefit of cheating. In other words, if the net present value of cheating is negative, Airbus would not cheat on the agreement, nor would Boeing cheat on the agreement, because there is no incentive to cheat by either firm in that case. Right? So I mentioned present value and discount rates. It is not in this syllabus to teach you that, but I am hoping that you would have learned about calculating present value into the future, right? From another course, maybe from accounting or something like that. If not, then please see me for consultation and I can take you through that. Anyway, because there is a repeated game here, then the cooperation or the collusion between Airbus and Boeing to raise the price would be more likely to succeed. So here is an interesting active learning question for you to try. You should see me for consultation to discuss your opinion or your analysis of this question. It continues from where we have just stopped in our analysis between Boeing and Airbus for the repeated game. The question is, do you think that the cooperative agreement between Boeing and Airbus to raise their prices every year is likely to hold until the very end, or 30 years? Anyway, think about that yourself. I shall continue for a bit here about cooperation and welfare, social welfare. Cooperation among oligopolists is undesirable from the standpoint of society as a whole because it leads to lower production and higher prices. When this happens, the market output tends to be below the allocative efficient output level, which can result in deadweight losses. Antitrust laws make it illegal to restrain trade or attempt to monopolize a market by forming cartels. So, to learn more, if you're interested in this area of economics, here are a list of self-reading articles that you can explore on your own. Right, so here they are. Yep. Here. No, here. Right. So these are related articles regarding the rivalry between Boeing and Airbus. There's quite a famous rivalry between the two. This is before COVID-19 pandemic, obviously. So this is the last active learning exercise here. Try this one. Well, this question was taken from a past year exam paper that I set in 2014. So you should be able to answer this question on your own based on what we have already covered. So do see me for consultation to discuss your analysis of this question if you like.